Hi, I'm South Poem, and today's video will be about ancestors. And I will first talk some about my ancestors and how you would be able to connect with your ancestors. So let's start. First, I would like to say that my connection with my ancestors have been long and long going, and I don't even know how it all started, but the earliest memory that I have is me being on the playground nearby my home, sitting on a swing, and I was always surrounded by nature. We lived really close to nature, and the region where we were, there was basically nature and then some roads and then a little society. So it was tiny and then it was beautiful, and I loved growing up there because I had this wonderful connection to nature, which I still love to this day. And for me, I would sit and I would swing and I would swing and I would watch the trees, and I would watch these old trees surrounding me that were really tall at the time. And I know that they're still really tall. I have gone back a few years ago just to make sure that it wasn't one of these memories that you would have of when you're a kid and you think everything is so big, and then you grow up and eventually you go, oh, it wasn't that big actually. It was a lot smaller. But no, these trees are still there and still very much alive, because all nature is alive basically, just as us. So I would sit there and I would swing and I would watch the trees and I would talk to the trees. And sometimes I would talk out loud with the trees, and I would share with them my fears and my worries and my sadness. I was I was really sad as a child, and I guess it was because of a lot of things. I think one of those things were that I didn't feel connection to other people. I didn't feel connected to my peers. I didn't feel connected to other children. I just always felt like an outsider, and it wasn't all bad. It was also good, because I could feel that I'm definitely an outsider. I don't know why we do these things. Why do we do these? And why do we hurt each other? And why do we push each other down? And why do we even push each other? I didn't understand, and I didn't understand the whole chasing thing, and I didn't understand the games, and I didn't understand how to communicate with others. I was just really quiet because I didn't know what to say. So for me, nature was the closest thing I had to someone to talk to. And my parents, unfortunately, had a lot of issues. And I think most of us have parents, or we pick our parents before we're born, and we want the parents that is going to help us grow the most. And that is definitely what happened in my case. So I had parents that would always be fighting and always be belittling each other, and it was not fun. So I needed an escape, and I needed to be on the swings, and I needed to be close to nature. And as soon as I sat down on that swing, I felt this immense peace, and I felt connection to nature, and I felt like I was talking to my aunts and my uncles, like these wise people that you would have in life. And for me, it was so important to have that time for me, I wouldn't say as a form of escape, because escape for me was watching movies and cartoons. That was my form of escape. It was instead a place for me to just settle down and ground myself and be around a place where I was, how can I say it, where I was safe, where I was really safe, and I felt really safe. and it was a bit secluded play area, and not a lot of kids would go there all the time. And I have no idea at what time I used to sit there. So maybe I used to sit there at these summer nights, evenings. I don't know. Anyhow, I would talk to nature, and I would talk to the trees, and I would share everything. And to me, I felt like I always had a response. Sometimes it would be a physical response where I would see the trees moving, basically telling me, cheer up, it's okay, you're going to be fine. Or I had this sense of peace afterwards, and I felt like, yeah, they get me. And also, I would feel that I would be sitting there and I would be able to communicate with the air, or communicate really with the wind. So I would say, wind, hey, come on, come here and give me some breeze. And every time it would happen, every time the wind would start by going through one tree and then passing around all the way around me. And it did that basically every time, and I thought, oh, this is so amazing. I'm able to communicate with wind, and I'm able to communicate with trees. That is so big for me and so amazing. So eventually I grew up, and I kept on feeling that I had more connection to nature than I had connection with what's it called? With religion. Because religion to me was always so closed up. It had the same type of energy that I would feel in school. It was sit down, be quiet, listen to the teacher. These are the things that you need to read. These are the things you need to understand. These are the things that created you. These are the things that you need to be grateful for. But I never felt a connection. I never ever felt like I would, for an example, talk to God or anything like that. I would, however, pray, because we would always pray at nighttime, and like I said in my past video, we did have religion in our life, and I used to sleep with a poster of the Virgin Mary above me, as I guess as someone that would protect me. And I used to pray, but I never felt like I was praying like other people were praying. I always prayed for my family and for everyone to be happy and healthy and well. I would never pray for anything for myself. I think that the only time I prayed for myself would be that I would feel better, because I was really, really lonely as a child. But eventually I grew up, and I had more and more connection to nature, and I had my big awakening, and eventually I started feeling and sensing my ancestors. And I also had this great friend that helped me channel my ancestors for me, and it's amazing. It's when someone would do a channeling with you, you would always feel a connection, and you would have confirmation, we call it. The confirmation usually is tears, and not the type of tears where you feel sad or happy. It's tears that just start. It's turning on a faucet, and the tears just come, and they don't stop. They just come, and you feel euphoric and you feel happy. And that is confirmation for me, and a lot of others as well. So make sure maybe you can find that for you. And we talked about my ancestors, and one of my ancestors came through, and he was this Mayan. I don't know how to say it. I don't know if he was a chief or something similar to it. But he was my ancestor. And when my friend, when she connected to him, I felt like this piece of a big puzzle, like the final piece finally put in place. And I realized so much. I realized who I was. I realized the power that I had. I realized that I all of these things that I had been trying to suppress for years and telling myself, no, this is not true, this is not true, this is not true, this is not true. It was all true. All of it was true. And it was so I had so much love, basically. I entered in this feeling of, yeah, this is it. This is my family. Because I never really felt the connection to my physical family. I felt love for them. I felt like I cared for them. But I never felt this is my family that I would do anything for. Maybe I would, but I would do it more of a sense of, it's my family, I need to do this. And not as a sense of, this is my tribe and I need to do my part of the tribe. I need to do everything to be able to be where I am. So eventually we communicated, me and my ancestor, and I started to work with him more. And I started to realize that I had a lot of ancestors, a lot of them, and they all love me and cherish me. And there is no concept of time. Need to say that there's no concept of time, so they could be communicating with me even though they're no longer around on this planet, but still they communicate with me like we were sitting down and talking. And we can communicate through meditation, but mostly is this sense. So for me, it's more that if you want to start to connect with your ancestors, ask. It's always the simplest things. It's never that complicated. Us humans makes everything complicated, but communicating with our ancestors and communicating with our angels and our guides, it's always simple. It's always just being in the moment, like now, sitting down, laying down, and just learning to sense. So maybe that is a good place to start. Start by sensing. Start by sensing your environment. Start by sensing your family. I think the best example I can give is when you're thinking of someone and you say, oh yeah, I didn't talk to that person in a while. And then they would call you or text you or send you a message, and you would go, oh, this is so cool. I was just thinking about this person and now they communicated with me. So that is a way of sensing. It's really subtle, so it's never going to be this overwhelming sensation of, oh, I feel everything. You would eventually, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, it's more, is this the right feeling or is this the right feeling? And go with your gut and have your gut relaxed so that you're not taking away your energy, so that you're fully relaxed. And you could always do breathing exercises, you could always do meditation, you could always listen to music that suits you and makes you feel happy and calm. And it's just to sense and trust, because that are the two biggest pillars in your spiritual work. When you start, you need to first sense. And when you sense something, or when you have a feeling of something, you need to trust it. And that is usually the hardest part, because we have this idea that we don't trust ourselves, and we don't trust ourselves enough. We trust everyone else, and sometimes people that aren't even good for us, we trust, but we're really bad at trusting ourselves and trusting our first instinct. And I know that you know what I mean, because you always go, oh, I should have, oh yeah, why didn't I go with my first instinct? Why did I do this instead? So you know what I'm talking about. So it's every time that you would think, oh, it's this, go with that. And try to turn off the other ideas and thoughts that are coming rushing in your head, telling you, no, this is untrue, this is not, no, and try to trick you to think that that you're incorrect. So first, sensing. Second, trusting. Third, going with it, going with that first instinct, first sensing, first emotion. You go with it and you say, okay, so what is it, the first thing that comes up? There could be a number of things. It could be a smell. Sometimes I would feel smells that I haven't felt since I was a child. I love that. And usually you have an emotional response connected to it. It would be my grandma's cooking. It would be the perfume that my first teacher had. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. It would be anything that would give you just happiness. Or it could be a sound. You would hear a sound you haven't heard in a long, long time. Or just any sound that you would say, this is not a part of the other sounds that are in my home currently. It's not a truck, it's not a car. What could it be? Or it could be a vision, that you would have a vision of something. And visions I'm going to talk about more in depth, because I love that topic, so I'm going to come back to that. And also you could let's see, smell, sense, and sense, feeling, a feeling that is not your emotions, it's a feeling, really hard to explain, but you will know it, and you will know when you feel it, and you will know, yeah, this is it. It's a very delicate feeling, but you will get there. I know, because I got there, so you'll get there. Nothing is impossible. Remember that, nothing is impossible. So, for an example, you would get an image, or you would get a smell, and you would go, this is interesting. And instead of dismissing it and saying, nope, this is not it, you go with it and you say, okay, so I smell. What do I smell? And then you try to figure out what it is, or you just try to go with it. And you go with it and you say, okay, and then you will end up maybe in another smell, or the smell will intensify. And then it's picking up these subtle changes and these subtle ideas that would come up. And it's hard because your brain is bombarding you with ideas all the time. You need to find the difference. It's fun though. It's really fun when you get a hang of it. Like everything, practice makes perfect. So practice. But also believe. Oh yeah, that's a big one. I forgot that. Believe, you need to believe. Trust is one thing, but believe is another thing. Because sometimes you would say, I think I'm going crazy. And you need to stop that idea immediately, because it's not good for you, it's not good for your health. Because you could sometimes see someone, and I have never seen anyone just standing in front of me, but I would sense them. Yeah. So, and then you try to see what type of thing they're communicating with you. In the beginning, it can be hard. So that is why channeling is so amazing. I love channeling. Like I said, I have this friend. She channels for me. I channel for her. We have done this for years now. Because, like I said before, we have a hard time trusting and a hard time believing. We've gotten better at it now. So now she's more a solo, and so am I. But it doesn't have to be years. So yeah, time doesn't exist. No time, no linear time. It's all now. And that is the tips that I have for you that you could start with. I'm going to make a meditation. I'm not sure if I'm going to post it today, but I will post it soon for you to connect, so that you can connect with the ancestors. I'll probably do it in the same style as the last time, where I just taped my voice and I just put some pretty nature pictures. I hope I have any. That would be okay. So I hope this was helpful. I know this was probably really long. I have a tendency to talk a lot, so bear with me. But I always get to the point, and I always give examples because I think that is more helpful in the end, so that when you sense or smell or feel or hear something, then you know, yeah, she said this example. Oh, it might be this. So thank you for today, and have a great day. And remember, you have all these wonderful gifts inside you that were given to you, and use them.